Hi, I'm Elio. I really like queer books, sad books, and environment books. And this video is going to be all about the third one, because I'm doing the books and environment tag that Ariel Bissett just made a video of. I'll link her and the original down below, along with the questions. But I'm just gonna jump into it. What is your favorite book cover with nature on it? I'm gonna have to go with The Man with the Compound Eyes. I think this is a really nice cover. I really like the kind of green colors. It's got like your water animals, your evil looking cat, the moon. I think it's a really solid cover. And the book itself is also like very much a climate book. It's basically about Taiwan and also this like more remote island a little outside of Taiwan called Waio, which is inhabited by indigenous people, and someone from Waio basically has to go on kind of a journey in the sea, and he gets trapped in a trash vortex. And this trash vortex is headed to Taiwan. So all our characters from both islands kind of collide, and there's a lot of trash and environment stuff everywhere. So yeah, this is it's kind of a magical realism book, which I really like. And yeah, really nice cover as well. Also a quick shout out to Losing Eden by Lucy Jones. I just think this is really nice, simple, cute, nature-y cover. The book is basically Why Our Minds Need the Wild. That just says everything. It's a non-fiction book about psychology and the environment. Have you read a fiction book where climate change was a theme? Well, the one I just talked about, The Man with the Compound Eyes, is one. And another one that comes to mind is the Mad Adam trilogy by Margaret Atwood. This is a dystopian novel set in the not too far future, maybe like 100 years from now. And it basically describes a society where all of our modern problems like capitalism and climate change have kind of been exacerbated a lot. I mean, the first book is about like a post-apocalypse, but then the second book focuses more on the actual world right before the apocalypse, where things were really terrible in terms of climate and other things. It was a really interesting trilogy, and it felt very realistic as well. I'm guessing she did it the same way she did Handmaid's Tale, where she based everything off like actual real life current things and just kind of blew them up a little. Imagine what it would be like in the future. So it was a freaky read. Especially since I read it right at the beginning of quarantine last year, and the reason for the kind of death of mankind was a virus. And one more book I can remember is Dry by Neil Shusterman, which is about the even more near future. I think it was a teenager living in California, and the droughts there were getting really bad every year. And I don't remember very well what happened, but basically things went to shit and she had to leave home. And I just remember the book being really stressful, like she's running away from like huge fires and trying to find drinking water. So that was also like really stressful and also very realistic sounding book if you're into that. Are there any books set in the polar regions that you want to read or have read? So I recently read The Left Hand of Darkness by Ursula K. Le Guin, which I think it counts. It's not set on Earth, it's a sci-fi book, but it's set on a planet that is like just far enough away from their sun that their climate is basically fully polar. Like the planet's poles are fully uninhabitable, and then the kind of region around the equator where people live is basically the same kind of climate that we have in the polar regions where people live nowadays. I really didn't like that aspect of the book. I live in Northern Europe. I hate the cold, and it's cold here like 8 months of the year. So yeah, I don't think I'll be picking up any more books about polar climates anytime soon. The book itself though is about a human who kind of travels onto this new planet as part of the Ecumen, which is like an organization of all these different planets, and then people kind of communicate with each other of all these different worlds and stuff, and then they want this new planet to also join their community. So he goes there and things don't go according to plan, and he and his friend go on a big adventure through the uninhabitable part of the planet, which was really stressful and really horrible to read about because it was so cold. But yeah, this is one of her most well-known books. It's also notable for the fact that the people on the planet have a kind of very different system of gender and biological sex, which was interesting to read about. So if you're into that kind of stuff, then check it out. Personally, I'm not a sci-fi person at all. I just read this because I wanted to have read it. Not because I particularly enjoyed it. So yeah, there's that. What are your opinions on the relationship between book consumerism and the environment? Should people buy fewer physical books to help minimize deforestation, for example? Okay, so consumerism is bad. That's kind of just the... First of all, consumerism of any kind is just not sustainable for the environment or just for humankind in general. It's not a good way to live. Unfortunately, we do live in a consumerist society, so it's not really realistic for people to completely ignore that. In an ideal world, we would all be using libraries or similar book sharing systems, but we don't live in an ideal world. So, I can't expect everyone to never buy books. I buy books myself as well. Not very often, but I do, because I do enjoy having a collection of my own books that I can show people, and I like lending my books out to people. But yeah, I think this is a multifaceted question, because first of all, individual responsibility, is it really that important? It doesn't matter if, one person buys 0 books, because consumerism is still going to happen. It's still going to ruin the planet. So unless big changes happen in our economic system, that doesn't really change anything. Yeah, I don't know. In general, I think it's understandable if people want to buy books, if it makes them happy, if, we live in a shitty world where owning things is one of the few things that we're able to do that just brings us a bit of joy in life. But I do think some people take it way too far. Personally, I don't understand the whole thing of buying way more books than you can read. Books are expensive, unless you're buying them all secondhand. But yeah, for me personally, I try to... My first preference is libraries. If my book is available in a library, I'll check it out from there. If it's not available in a library, I'll see if I can find it secondhand anywhere. But because I live in a non-English speaking country, that is fairly unlikely to happen. So if I can't find it secondhand, or none of my friends has it or anything, then I'll try to see if I can find it at an indie bookstore, depending on if I can currently afford an indie bookstore, because they are a bit more expensive. And yeah, then as my fourth option, I'll just buy it from an ordinary bookstore. I definitely don't buy tons of books. I just think if you buy books just for the object, I just don't understand it. Books are meant to be read. You're supposed to do a thing with a book, It's supposed to be a tool, not just decoration. Right? I don't know. Yeah, basically, individuals can do whatever they want, but in general, our society should move towards less individual consumerism and more of an economy of sharing. Yeah. Oh, as for the environment, paper isn't the worst material to be buying. It's better to buy books than buy plastic or electronic stuff, so that's whatever. What role do you think books and reading has in regard to educating people about the environment? Do you think it's the most effective way to teach people about environmental issues? I think for topics like this, you really need to raise awareness through a lot of different mediums, because a lot of people prefer documentaries, a lot of people prefer books, a lot of people prefer, podcasts or blogs or YouTubers talking about stuff, whatever. So basically, you just need to have all your bases covered. Personally, I prefer to read books about things like this. I'm really not into watching documentaries about really depressing and stressful topics. Like, I'm a vegan. I stopped eating meat 10 years ago. I've never watched one of those, like, vegan documentaries because I don't want to, I don't need to, I know what's happening, I don't need to see it for, like, the shock value. But obviously a lot of people do need the kind of shock value thing. So in that sense, obviously documentaries are also really good. For me, I think books are important because they often offer a much more thorough overview of a topic. You get a lot more detail, a lot more analysis, you get more time to kind of think and process things. So that's why I personally prefer to read books on topics like the environment. Where is the most beautiful place in nature that you've read a book? I love reading outside. Like I said, I live in Northern Europe, so there's only like a 3, maybe 4 month period every year where I can actually realistically read outside without getting really cold. And as soon as that period starts, I am out. I am on my balcony, I am on a picnic blanket in the park, whatever. I'm reading my books. The season has just started here. I did my first balcony reading like a week or 2 ago. As for a specific beautiful place, I honestly don't know. Like, one that comes to mind is, it's not a specific place I guess, but just I was in Turkey visiting my family one summer and I was reading 1Q84 while we were like driving through the Turkish mountains, and that was really cool. It's one of my favorite books as well, so that's a nice place memory. If you could live in any natural setting in a book, which one would you choose and why? So I'm guessing most people choose like a fantasy setting or something, but I don't really read fantasy books. Most of my books take place in like real places. But one that I did think of is The House in the Cerulean Sea, which I read very recently. The main character here starts off living in like a depressing, grey, rainy city, which I can very much relate to. It was raining here literally 10 minutes ago. And then he has like this mouse pad that has a picture of the beach and it says, "Don't you wish you were here?" And then he like looks at it longingly every day. I can 100% relate to that. I may or may not have been Googling rental places in Italy like 2 days ago, because that's my current obsession of where I want to live next. And yeah, then he goes onto this island in the Cerulean Sea where it's always sunny and there's like, I don't know, it's warm, it's beautiful. And he's happy. And that is just the kind of way that your mood shifts and everything kind of shifts in your life according to the climate and the environment around you is something that I can really relate to. And because I'm also someone that loves warm climates and that loves the sea, then this island just felt like a dream to me. So I would love to live on, I think it was Marsyas Island? Something like that. The island where they go. I think everyone knows about this book by now, right? It's about magical children and there's gay stuff and it's really, really wholesome and sweet. And that is all the questions for the books and environment tag. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any environment books to recommend me, please recommend them, because I really love reading about environment, climate, fiction, and non-fiction. I'd love to read some more non-fiction on the topic as well. And yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye!